Good morning. I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. We're about to take you to a news conference being held on the steps of City Hall in downtown Cleveland. This is in regards it was December of 2019 when 13-year-old Tamia Chappman was walking on the sidewalk with her friends. Cleveland police were involved in a chase with a stolen vehicle. That chase ended in a crash that killed 13-year-old Tamia. This is a $4.8 million settlement announcement by the family and their attorney there. Let's take you live to the news conference.
That cost Tamia her life. What we found during that is that the city of Cleveland didn't follow its own policy, didn't follow its own procedure, didn't have common sense during the chase, nor any decency when they were involved in that. The supervisors didn't do what they were supposed to do, that was evident, and the city of Cleveland didn't hold any of them accountable for their lack of professionalism and accountability. Tamia will never come back. Ms. Chappman and her family life will never be the same. Tamia had told her mom the day that she went to school that she was going to change the world, and today she has done so. And how has she done so? She's done so by making sure that her name will be remembered and synonymous with accountability as it relates to police pursuits. We know that the city of Cleveland has not changed its policy. We know that the city of Cleveland has not had any accountability throughout the administration. We hope and expect that the Department of Justice will look further into this police chase or pursuit and/or other use of force cases and incidents within this police department. It is evident through recent news in the city of Cleveland that the city of Cleveland, and including our pursuit, has not changed from 2019. We understand they're under a consent decree, but we understand that the policies, procedures, and the culture is still the same. No other family should have to go through this tragedy. No other family should have to experience what Ms. Chappman and her family has experienced. We expect that our public officials, that includes the councilman, that includes the mayor, that includes our senators, that includes our county councilmen, to put policies in place and put pressure on the city to change its police culture, to change how they police, to change and stop chasing. We felt that resolving this case at this point would be best for the family. It's been 4 hard, long years. This family has had an open wound, constantly dealing with it over the years in this pursuit for accountability. We believe that the result that we have settled has made that so. We believe that amount is the largest pursuit settlement in Cleveland history. It is the largest in the state. We believe that shows that Tamia's life mattered and will change how Cleveland and other area police departments go about their business as it relates to the value of life and property. Tamia shouldn't have had to lose her life. We will continue to fight for families, much like the Chappman family, to make sure that Cleveland and other areas are held accountable for their reckless, wanton behavior. Ms. Chappman at this moment will say a few words about how she feels. Ms. Chappman.
Yes, I would like to say thank you for the Cochran family and Stanley Jackson for helping and supporting me and my family. I appreciate it if the police could stop the chase. It's not right. I miss my daughter. We'll never get her back. But I don't want nobody else, kids or elderly person, to get hurt doing these chases. I hope they stop.
My law partner, Rucker, who's a part of the Cochran firm, has worked diligently and hard to make sure that police chases aren't happening in other areas of Ohio. He will speak to you shortly about what we are doing throughout Ohio to make sure that we continue to honor Tamia by following and relentlessly pursuing these police chases and holding other communities accountable.
Again, my name is Rucker. I'm the managing attorney for the Cochran firm in Cincinnati, down a few hundred miles from here. What you just heard was 4 years later, a mother who grieves even today and who will continue to because of irresponsibility. And it's not just, unfortunately, that we are pursuing these types of cases in Cleveland. Just a few weeks ago, the Cochran firm in Cincinnati filed a suit against the Colerain Township Police Department for an identical situation where a bystander and his passenger, one was critically injured, the passenger was, but the driver was killed because of an unlawful, unreasonable, unnecessary, reckless police chase for a traffic violation in the middle of the morning on a busy street. These lawsuits are intended, number one, to bring some level of compensation to a family who's never going to have any more family reunions with their loved one, who's never going to see graduations and wedding days and spend time with grandchildren. These lawsuits are intended to do that on one end. But what we also intend to do is to change the culture, is to change the procedures, is to discourage police officers from engaging in conduct that injures instead of protects and serves. We'll continue to do that, and with great lawyers in the Cochran firm like Stanley, and with trusting clients, we'll continue to advocate and fight to help to restore justice to those times when justice has been elusive, and to give voice for those who are seeking to be heard. Thank you.
Stop the chase.
We agree, stop the chase. At this time, we'll take some questions if you have questions.
Mr. Chappman, can you tell us a little bit more?
Let's wait for the siren to go back. Yeah.
Mr. Chappman, can you tell us a little bit more about the last 4 or 5 years, what it's been like for your family and how this has impacted you and your family?
It's been terrible for me and my family. It's awful to wake up and every day still see a chase going on, seeing somebody's mother, loved one, brother, sister being hurt due to these police chases. It makes us angry. I can't sleep at night. It's terrible for me and my family.
How have you been able to get through the last 4 years, knowing that your daughter is no longer with you and will never be with you again?
I will never get past that. I will never get over that.
Ms. Chappman has dedicated her life to being involved and helping with bringing light to these tragic chases. You know, the reality is just as my law partner, Rucker, has said, that the police have a duty to us as citizens to protect us and serve us. And oftentimes these chases are over minor infractions and or vehicles, and no one should have to lose their life over that.
Would you say this was the largest settlement, police chase settlement in the state as well? Or
Yes.
City? Okay.
Ms. Chappman, they said the morning that she went to school, she told you that she was going to change the world. What were you talking about that? What did she want to do?
So she couldn't hear you, but what I will tell you is that Tamia was always on social media, and she wanted to be an influencer on Instagram. And so when she was leaving, she was telling her mom, hey, I'm going to change the world. She had a couple videos out. Her and her friends were walking together, going to school. And when they were coming back, there were probably about 27 kids. Not probably, there were exactly 27 kids that were walking together from school. School had just let out. She was a leader in her own community, and all the kids had kind of gathered around her and were always supported her. And so she was a light in that community. So when this happened, it really affected a lot of the kids in that area.
Has the city given any indication of change, of anything different moving forward?
No, I think we all know that the most recent development that the city just hired someone in the administration who had a civil rights issue. So I don't think that the city really understands the gravity of the decisions they make and how they can impact our families.
They're going through right now a revision of the competition policy in Cleveland. Having gone through the policies as they were during this incident, what do you think should be changed to prevent this from happening again?
I think that Cleveland should first of all, have public comment before they continue on with reviewing that policy. I think they should look at, here's a novel idea, actually talking to and interacting with law firms like myself to maybe take some suggestions from us. I think also, really, just to be frankly honest with you, the issue that Cleveland had was there was no air support. So we have all this money that has been paid to the city that the city receives in federal dollars, and there's no air support, there's no helicopters. But we just had the eclipse, and we had helicopters everywhere. And that shows what Cleveland values. That shows at least what the mayor and the administration values. But more importantly, just stopping the chase. Like adhering to your own policy in the first place, but really stopping the chase.
Yeah, we talk about best practices, not only in the state of Ohio, but truly across the country. Law enforcement agencies are recognizing the risk versus the reward of pursuing people who have committed minor infractions or people who are engaged in chases because they end up in tragic circumstances. There are several municipalities down in southern Ohio who have reflected on their practices and have actually changed their policies to prohibit officers from engaging in those chases once they realize that it's not necessary or there is an inherent danger in pursuing it. What can Cleveland do? The same thing that other responsible cities have done and continue to do, and that is reflect on the risk versus the reward and determine that if there are foreseeable circumstances that could result in another press conference about a tragic death, that the policy needs to reflect that those chases stop at that moment. That's what they can and should do, and so should every other thinking, reasonable municipality with leaders who are concerned about their citizens should do.
Nobody begrudges the $4.8 million that the Chappman family has been awarded. But there's another issue, and that is that money is coming out of the coffers of the citizens of the city of Cleveland. Is there a way to push for the city to make sure somebody else, not the citizens, pay? Because every time this happens, the citizens pay that $4.8 million, whatever it happens to be. Your thoughts on that?
The reality is that we elect those individuals to make those decisions. We entrust them with the ability to be able to, as he said, the risk and the reward. So we have to hold those public officials accountable. They don't need to get reelected, right? They should be scrutinized, maybe put other people in place that are going to make better decisions so that we don't have that outcome.
Yeah. I can offer two things. First of all, I'm the senior advisor for the Center for Social Justice with the Urban League, and we work with local municipalities to help them reflect on their policies. And yes, they have city managers, and yes, they have council members, and yes, they have mayors, and most of those individuals are elected. And when those individuals who are elected listen to the interest of the community that they serve, then they take steps and pass legislation that is reflective of that care that they're supposed to have. Also, I can tell you, I was an elected official for 13 years here in the state of Ohio. I was on the bench, so I didn't have to worry about the money issues and things like that. But the idea that we as public officials are beholden to those who we ask for their vote. We're asking them to trust us, and so then we in all those public positions have to return that care of the trust that they put in us. How do we stop the citizens from having to come out of their pocket for tragic incidences like these? We have the citizens elect those who say, we're going to change how we operate so that you all aren't being held responsible for that irresponsibility.
Ms. Chappman, is there any sort of closure that this settlement brings, or how are you feeling today about this settlement?
No, it don't bring closure. I never get my daughter back, so no, it don't bring closure. But it's I feel okay about it. And I just really want everyone to stop, the police to stop the chase.
Mr. Rucker, it's Rucker, right?
It is.
What's your first name?
Fanon, F-A-N-O-N.
You mentioned the other municipalities. We have some in the Cleveland area too that no longer chase unless there's a violent act to it. In this case, there was a carjacking. So what do you think is the proper procedure in this case of what other cities would consider a dangerous situation?
Sure. understanding the impetus for the chase itself, and Stan Jackson can speak more about the particular details, where there was a point when it was recognized that this chase continuing was more dangerous than continuing it. And that's where there's a point of deference to decide this should not continue. Now, right, a lot of municipalities have said if it's a minor infraction, again, like the case I have down in southern Ohio, it was a red light violation that they continued and chased. But there are instances where even if the chase begins because of a legitimate circumstance that justifies the chase in the beginning, the attendant circumstances, the traffic, the identity of the driver, the ability to call other agencies in to get in front of the car to stop. I mean, there's any number of opportunities to reflect on before we get here.
So, in addition to that, you know, our police departments, especially Cleveland, are highly militarized, meaning that there's a lot of funds that go into providing, you know, stop sticks, you know, helicopters, things of that nature, things that are less likely to result in an actual death. And those are things that, if the city is going to do that in that particular instance, they need to take that into consideration. The reality is that we don't need to have another death on they don't need to have another death in their hands pursuing when there's other opportunities to be able to capture that individual.
Ms. Chappman, one last question. What would you want people to know about your daughter?
What would you like for people to know about your daughter?
Oh, that she was an amazing young lady, a talented, beautiful, phenomenal young lady.
The reality is that you can look, out in social media. There's video of her out there. When you see her, she was a ray of light. I mean, just an amazing child. And to be frankly honest with you, had this not happened to her, I probably would be representing her as an influencer. And unfortunately, I'm representing her family and still representing her in a sense as an influencer, hoping to influence that the chase will stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan DeRose with 19 News. As you see, the mother of Tamia Chappman stepping off from City Hall. $4.8 million settlement announced. You heard her attorney say that the city didn't follow its own directions. The supervisors didn't cancel that chase. Remember, this was back in December of 2019. Tamia and a group of students were headed to the library for a Toys for Tots event when a chase that was pursuing a stolen vehicle ended up in a crash. Fortunate that it didn't kill more or hurt more individuals, but it did take the life of 13-year-old Tamia. Harry Boomer is on this story. We will look for a response from the city. I can tell you generally the response is going to be that they don't comment on litigation. Unfortunately, getting an answer out of the city after being hit with yet another settlement to the tune of $4.8 million. You heard the attorney say that it is the largest pursuit settlement in Cleveland. In fact, the largest pursuit settlement in the state of Ohio. So this is going to send ripples throughout the community and through the state in law enforcement looking at policies for chases. If we have any other breaking news, it'll be here on our digital properties. Our noon news is just about a half an hour away on Channel 19. So until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News.